Hello everyone and welcome to another Versus Video Deck Tech. I am BBD and I am joined again by
CBM.
And we are going to be battling with some first takes on Pro Tour decks that were successful last weekend at the Pro Tour in Brussels.
Oh, Dragons of Tarkir.
Yeah, Dragons of Tarkir. There are some dragons in actually both of our decks.
I think there were a lot of dragons in Brussels.
There were a lot of dragons in Brussels, that is for sure.
To the surprise of exactly no one.
In fact, the finals was the classic matchup between dragons and dragon fodder. A little bit of a good one there. Dragon fodder actually won, surprisingly enough. But
yeah.
Who doesn't like an underdog? So, but anyway, I'm going to be battling today with Craig Wesco's white-green splashing blue deck that he went 8-2 with at the Pro Tour. And I think he finished in like 10th place. So let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. Basically, it is very similar to the green-white mastery decks that we saw spring up GP Miami and kind of be a fringe player in Standard ever since that tournament. But Craig has kind of a really interesting and unique take on the deck. So for one, he has Death Mist Raptor and Den Protector, which we actually identified that both of these cards were very good in the green-white Devotion Shell, and Michael Majors actually played that deck at the Pro Tour. He was on our team, and he played both of these cards because they were, one, very good with Mastery of the Unseen because you can manifest them and then unmorph them.
Yep. And
two, they really combo very well together to the point where I actually just actively hated Den Protector so much because I kept losing to it. Death Mist was not quite as good, but both are just phenomenal cards.
Absolutely, and it's not just because they interact well with each other as far as like being really grindy magic cards. They're also very difficult or impossible to block. So they're just going to do a lot of damage over the course of the game, and then you just can't really get rid of them. Your Den Protectors will unmorph and rebuy other Den Protectors that are in your graveyard, bring back your Death Mist Raptors, and you're just hoping you have Anger of the Gods at that point.
Yeah, they're really annoying to deal with. Abzan Charm is quite the magic card, or as we solved it with, we just put Nana Fenza in play, and then
that's pretty good too.
then killed him after that. But yeah, they're really good with each other. But Den Protector's also very good with cheap interactive spells. It's another thing that people overlook. And here we have Valor Stance and Dromoka's Command, which is convenient. We can, buy back our Den Protector in response to a removal spell to get a stance to protect it again, or whatever creature's being targeted. Or we can even just rebuy Dromoka's Command to like kill an enchantment, kill a creature. So it's really nice to have a couple of versatile utility spells in our deck, and then the ability to just rebuy them over and over again with Den Protector if we need to, in situations where they're good. And the nice thing about these two cards is they usually don't overlap that much. Decks where Dromoka's Command is really good, usually Valor Stance is not that good, and vice versa. So it's sweet to be able to, it's almost like Snapcaster Mage in a way, where you get to get more access to the cards that are actually good in the matchup. And then past that point, we have like Fleece Manes and Coursers. A couple copies of Surak, which I actually think this card is really sweet, especially in this deck, which it may seem a little out of place. This isn't a super aggressive deck. All your creatures are good defensively, and in a lot of matchups, you're going to play defensively and try to win with Mastery. But one thing that Surak does do that's really awesome is give Dragonlord Ojutai haste.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so you can play Dragonlord Ojutai, hit him for 5, and get to Anticipate, which is actually just insane. And then, if they kill your Dragonlord, you can maybe rebuy with Den Protector, or, you can attack with your Dragonlord and flip a Den Protector to get a Valor Stance to protect it. There's a lot of really sweet interactions you can do with this deck, and this deck seems like a really neat interaction, or a neat mix between a Mastery of the Unseen deck and, like, just a good card deck. And then the mana base is, not every part of the deck can be good, so.
Yeah, unfortunately there isn't a Bant Tri-land,
yeah.
Much to the dismay of a lot of people. However, Craig Wesco still did very well with the deck. Elvish Mystic and Sylvan Caryatid holding it down, and, you do have some green pain lands, but you have a Mycos, so you do what you can.
Yeah, the mana base doesn't look great, but the rest of the deck does, and let's go ahead and take a look at the sideboard and see what's in there. All right, so one awesome aspect of being able to play like Bant and playing Dragonlord Ojutai is that you get access to blue cards in your sideboard, which are going to really help this deck fix a lot of the issues that it had before. And one of the big ones is inability to deal with certain types of creatures or certain types of spells. For example, this deck was really cold to things like Ugin before, or a Wrath effect into an Ugin and things like that were really good against the deck. But now we have Disdainful Stroke, Negate, Stubborn Denial to handle problems like that.
Yep.
And then we also have Encase in Ice, which is one of the best sideboard cards, if not the best sideboard card in the format right now, because, well, I mean, the Pro Tour was dragons, so Encase in Ice is pretty good at locking down dragons, basically. And it's good against Mono Red, it's good against, Stormbreath, Dragon, Thunderbreak Region, all those cards. Like, maybe not the optimal answer to those cards, but for a deck like this where the rest of your deck is pretty well set up against them to win a grindy game, assuming you don't just die to hasty dragons, it seems pretty good.
Yeah, I've been playing Green Red Dragons myself quite a bit, and I'm seeing Encase in Ice more and more. And one of the things that will make the card better is if you design your deck to have as little splash damage as possible. So, against the control decks, the Dragons decks are bringing in things like Destructive Revelry. One, because they have so many bad cards to take out and they don't have enough good cards to bring in, they're just going to hedge with it, because they could potentially hit Perilous Vault. And I actually just got to randomly Destructive Revelry a lot of Encase in Ice this last weekend at States. So you want to make sure that if you're going to lean on that card against the Dragons, make your deck not be very vulnerable to cards like Destructive Revelry, because then you'll catch splash damage.
Yeah, and this deck is kind of halfway between that point. We do have Mastery of the Unseen and Courser, but it's possible that we don't draw those cards in Game 1 and our opponent maybe doesn't bring them in.
Absolutely.
But it's also possible that we draw too many of them in Game 1 and our opponent overestimates and brings in too many. So there's a little bit of a give and take there, but either way, I think Encase in Ice is like a really big card for this kind of a deck. Same with Disdainful Stroke to like answer dragons while our Den Protectors and things go the rest of the way.
Yeah,
and these cards are
a Disdainful Stroke with Den Protector seems real gross.
Exactly. Den Protector also is just phenomenal with the sideboard. We have a lot. If you notice, everything in the sideboard costs 1 or 2 mana except for Hornet Nest. So Den Protector is just actually straight gasoline with the sideboard.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I drew my 1 of Plummet against my opponent's Stormbreath Dragon deck. Plummet, Den Protector, Plummet, Den Protector, Plummet. You just get to rebuy it over and over again. So
for sure.
It actually seems like really awesome. I really love this sideboard a lot. And then Hornet Nest is actually surprisingly I consider one of the breakout cards from the Pro Tour that maybe we didn't see that much of, but I actually saw a lot of this card and it was very, very good against a lot of the decks that people were playing. And this is a card that I expect to see in a lot of sideboards moving forward. Even played against it in the main deck of the Green-Red Devotion deck that Teamwork played. So there's actually a lot of Hornet Nests running around, and they're very good against Abzan aggro, all the red aggressive decks, a number of strategies. So I definitely expect to see more of this card.
Especially considering the red aggressive decks that did well are a bit off from the ones that were doing well, a month or so ago that had like Goblin Heel Cutter. It's a great card against something like Hornet Nest. Now they can't really afford to play it because they're trying to go wide with the Tarkus command, and Hornet Nest is a very good foil to that plan. Yeah,
they're really not Heel Cutter, hammer handing, and things like that nearly as much anymore. So yeah, Hornet Nest is just a straight, very easy 2-for-1, 3-for-1 against them.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is the Bant deck that Craig Wesco played. Looks really awesome, and I'm excited to play with it. Make sure you stick around and watch CVM's deck tech as well to see what he is playing.
We got dragons.